Greetings.
Greetings. Look what the Hurricane Milton dragged in. This is your boy Ryan.
It's your boy Easy.
And you are listening to Turtle Soup, the internet, nay, the world's only listener-supported podcast dedicated to the ongoing journey of the TMNT all the way from the very beginning until the neighbors in my neighborhood get their post-Hurricane Milton trash can situation figured out, which I think we got a while, boys. I don't know if that'll ever be set to rights. We are live on YouTube. We have not been live on YouTube in quite a while, and for that we apologize. But if you could subscribe, that could put us over the top. If you've already subscribed, make sure you share the podcast with all your friends. Yeah. Let them know that we on the streams, bro.
Let them know.
And I tell you, one thing that got me through Hurricane Milton was knowing that the whole time that the wind was blowing by my house like a goddamn train.
Yeah.
I knew during those 100-mile-per-hour gusts that I had some wind at my back.
Ooh.
And that's our patrons. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yes, I do.
And Eric threw his baby back out, and he was just sitting there like, patrons, hold on. Yeah. Get me patrons. And you laid hands on him, and that's why he's here on the podcast now.
It's
two patrons in particular that we are dedicating this episode to are David Wagner and John Klein III.
Ooh.
Always love you guys. This one's for y'all.
Thank you very much.
And speaking of what the wind blew in, among the other things that blew around were a few comics that just flooded under the door that we're going to cover today. What are those going to be, Eric?
That's true. These are the comics you definitely get under your door. We're going to be covering. We're going back to.
They come from big bad toy store.
They do, from the fulfillment
center. Your mom and dad's house.
Yes. We are going to be talking about. We're going all the way back. This is a bag of tricks, everybody. The wind.
Yeah.
It filled up the bag of tricks, and we got a bunch. We're going to be metering that out as we go. But tonight, we are going back to November of 1996, December of 96, and April of 97. And we're going to be covering the Ninjara Seed of Destruction little 3-piece story thing that was published in Furrlough issues 47, 48, and 52. And we'll talk if that sounds like gibberish to you. We're don't worry, baby bird. We're gonna feed you.
We're gonna feed you. Man, so how did the hurricane treat you, Eric? Give us the breakdown.
Okay, all right, yeah. So just again, I'm gonna back it up a little bit further. Last time we were here, last time we did the show, we that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You and me and Farmer Greg did the board game, the cereal box board game, and that was a ton of fun. We had a blast doing that, so hopefully y'all did too. So good. And since then, our area has had 2 hurricanes hit. Yep. And that kind of put us on our back foot quite a bit.
Every time, because we didn't have any time to recover after Helene. Like, we basically just got our power hooked back up and stuff, and all of a sudden it was like,
time to go.
Everybody buckle down for Milton. It's a once in 100-year storm. And we're like,
Oh, yeah.
There with
that. Exactly. So, that's why we've been kind of gone for a bit. But we didn't get hit too bad. It did take out the power and do some stuff, but with the first one, whatever, I forget what that one was. What was that first hurricane?
Helene,
yes. But but for our area, it was kind of standard. It was pretty standard hurricane stuff. Yeah. The Milton was the one that was kind of nuts. So we were okay. We did pretty good. I found the hole that was leaking in my roof, and I fixed that before the storm, thankfully. And the wind was nuts. I couldn't sleep. I stayed up all night. I was in fight or flight. I stayed up until 4 a.m. or whatever.
Yep, until the wind dropped. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, and it's for those who've never been in a hurricane. What's neat, and I'm not a scientist, despite how I look.
Sure.
So there's something with light and how it gets dispersed through the clouds of a hurricane that makes it, even though it's pitch black, you can still see. Like you can see a lot clearer than you can.
It's normally weird. Yeah, it the moonlight does a lot of work somehow.
It does. It disperses it, and it's wild. So it's very eerie, but also fun.
It is.
It's wild. But so I spent the whole night. Our power went out pretty early on, and then I was going back and forth to the front of my house, the kitchen window, and then my bedroom window. So that's east and west and north, I think.
Yeah.
And so doing that all night, Ryan, around 11:30 in the thick of the storm, like the thick of it. Yeah. I go to my bedroom window, which you've been in and you've come through multiple times.
Melissa Etheridge style. I've been in that thing. I've been in that thing so many times.
Oh yeah. So I'm looking out the window, and I'm about to make my rounds to go back, and I'm like, no, let me hold on just a second. I see a ball of fire roll out of my vacant neighbor, who's my next door neighbor is a vacant house, roll out of their yard and towards my house in the midst of a category 3-4 hurricane at 11:30 at night. Yeah. And I'm like watching this thing, like the fire, and I'm like, oh, the rain should stop it. It stops raining and just wind. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then the rain comes and kills it down a little bit. And then it does that for about 10 minutes. And maybe not 10 minutes, maybe like 5 minutes.
What was
it? Feels like, I don't know yet. So I call my wife, and the thing I love about my wife is that she's from Massachusetts. So when she gets excited or gets loud, her Bostonian comes out, and it just kills any situation I'm in. I start laughing. I don't care how dire it is.
Yeah.
So she calls.
Like, this is a wicked pisser. You're like, oh shit.
Exactly. No, she calls 911 with that Boston accent, and after a while they answer, and they're like, yeah, we can't do anything, sorry. And we knew
sure they can't come out in the middle of that shit.
Knew, but we were hoping that maybe they'd tell us something, but nah, they're just like, good luck. And I'm like, okay. And I was about to go out there. I was like, it had been long enough. I'm like, okay, I need to do something, because I can't, if I just let it go, it could come up to my house and burn up all my shit. So so I'm about to go, and I see the rain finally hits it enough to where it smolders it out. Like, and I'm like, I was not expecting to have to deal with a fireball during the hurricane. And so that was wild. So the next morning we got up and looked at it, and all we could find was the charred remains of a cardboard box. And I
must have got struck by lightning, or maybe a down line hit it and caught it on fire.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's very weird. Yeah,
that's
I
wild.
Have no idea, but it was intense. And then watching the wind. Oh my god, it just is invigorating, but also it makes you feel small, but excites you in the same time. Like there's a lot to it.
No, it's a force of nature. It's wild. We've not been hit like that in Central Florida. Like I said, in 100 years, in our area in on the West Coast. How long did you guys lose power?
Thankfully, I think like a day and a half, maybe.
Oh, you lucky bitch!
I know. I
lost it for 4 days.
That's rough. Farmer Greg lost it for I think a week and a half or something. He was out for a while.
Then.
For a while, and he was out for a while with Helene. So I think he watched the transformer fall in his yard, and it's like, that's how you know that, like, oh well,
you signed yourself up for at least 5 or 6 days just because you saw that happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's if they started working on it today.
Yeah, no. So but other than that, some of the what is it called? The stuff that my carport, it's not vinyl siding, but it's the there's a term for it, and I can't think of
aluminum sheeting like that's on the ceiling.
Kind of, yeah. It's not aluminum. It's more, well, it might be actually. It's just white.
Aluminum or a plastic like soffit material.
Soffit, that's the word. Yes,
yeah,
the soffit.
Yeah.
Some of that blew off, and that was terrifying. Hearing that, just other than that, no, we lucked out big time. I haven't been on the roof since because I got out the next day, and there was a big limb, so I was cutting it so I could move it, and I threw my back out, and but yeah, everything else was pretty good. Like we didn't have a lot of damage. Now the rest of my neighborhood, because there's a creek that runs through our neighborhood. It is harrowing driving through there, and like when you got out scot-free pretty much, and you drive and you see people just bringing all of their stuff out because it's all ruined.
They all got flooded.
Yeah, got flooded, and it's like horrible, and you're thinking the whole time, you're like, oh, this wasn't that bad. Okay, I'm gonna post that meme about the chair that blew over and say,
Oh my
oh
God, no, that would have been in poor taste, bro.
Right. These people are just like, their entire house and all their stuff is wrecked. Yeah, no, it's very humbling, but like,
We got lashed.
Yeah,
we got lashed. Like the storm for us was kind of wild. So we are protected from the south by the woods we live in front of.
right.
But for this storm, that didn't count for shit.
No,
Because all the wind was coming from the east and then the north. So it's like, who cares about your little protection? Normally, the wind comes from the south, and during a hurricane here, and you luck out on my end. But no, so we're sitting there, and we lost power around 9:30.
Yeah.
And you knew it was gonna happen. I was also I couldn't sleep. I mean, I just knew I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
When the internet went down, obviously the cell data was super slow. I couldn't get any websites to load. I had our friend Lex in Texas sending me screenshots of the weather app so I could see the radar, because I'm that guy. Like, I need to see the radar the whole time.
Right.
And for whatever reason, the cell data was so slow after the internet went down, and I couldn't get anything to load. I just had to know, like, is it past? Where's the eye? Like, I'm that guy. But it did not help. No, we were hit really hard. So I think the funniest story is, number one, a bunch of rainwater came in under our front door because of the wind. Just pushed it under.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. So we're 50 feet above sea level in my neighborhood, which is wild for Florida, but it just is.
Yeah.
So if we flood, it's all over. It's Armageddon style. So we were never worried about flooding in our home. But our house is run off these old power lines that run behind my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. The front of the neighborhood, actually the majority of the neighborhood, is all underground and runs off of huge lines that go down Bloomingdale Avenue. And those got wrecked.
The power is underground.
Yeah. The power lines are run underground.
Okay.
And but they run off these huge service poles that go down the street. So they got power back like in 2 days.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So my nighttime story was, the gusts were, I mean, we took 100-mile-an-hour gusts. I mean, that is hardcore. We got really hit. So I made sure to bring in my garbage cans, and like I buckled everything down. I spent 2 days making sure everything was good.
Yeah.
Knowing we were going to get hit really hard. And this is my nighttime story. So we get through it. It was going. It's about 2 a.m. The wind's starting to die down a little bit. We're still getting those gusts, but now the gusts are more like tropical storm force gusts, not hurricane gusts.
Right.
So it's like I can actually go on the back porch and like hang out and kind of just look around and kind of see, and I like to do that.
Oh, me too.
So I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's probably around 3 now. And I'm like, I think the worst is past. We didn't lose any windows. There's no leaks in the house that I can see right now. Everything looks okay, but we just got to wake up in the morning and see what's going on.
Right.
So I go outside and have a cigarette. And there's this 50-foot tall tree in my backyard that whenever I look up at night, it's part of the scenery. It's a really tall damn tree, and it's right next to the power lines.
Right.
I walk out and instantly notice that angle ain't right on that goddamn tree.
Yeah.
That ain't right. So it's like still drizzling and the wind's coming up. So I'm out there with my rain jacket on. I've got my flashlight. The tree is partially uprooted and leaning back toward the woods.
Okay.
And I'm like,
okay. Whew. Yeah.
Well, yeah, really good. It's going back toward the woods because it would lay across my house from where it is. It's so tall, right?
Jeez.
I think you might know the tree I'm talking about because you've been to some of the bonfires and stuff in my house, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's one big ass tree in my backyard. This is the one really big one. So the ground was so saturated that it pulled up. I'm like, holy shit, that tree's on those power lines. Whatever. Wake up in the morning. No, a bunch of limbs fell off that tree.
Yeah.
And knocked the lines into the tree.
Oh.
The power guys come out a couple days later and they're starting to work on it, and they go, yeah, we can run right past it. And I'm like, I was kind of hoping you guys would come out. Like I called Tico that
Yeah.
morning and I said like, and Tico's our power company here,
Right.
Tampa Electric. And I said like, hey, I got a tree on my property that is a man killer, that is 50 feet tall, that is partially uprooted. It needs, just know that if they're going to come through here, they need to bring a crew who can chop down a 50-foot tree because this is insane.
Yeah.
Then I had to call him back and say that there were down lines because at that point I couldn't see. And they're like, well, if there's a down line, you have to call us because that's a separate call. So I got through to them. I thought maybe they're going to cut this tree down somewhat for me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Oh,
so
no?
the guys that, nope, because they could run right past it because it's
geez.
not technically leaning on the lines. Now, is it 6 inches from the lines? 100%. If we get another storm, will it fall over on those lines? Absolutely, it will.
Yeah, totally.
But that's up to me. The guys are very nice. The guys reconnected.
Yeah.
So then I started going outside that next day and looking around. And dude, the tree's down.
Yeah.
And the this low area of a road right next to us flooded 6 feet deep.
Ooh.
Cars were trying to go through it and getting stuck. The police came out and put caution tape over it, but the tape would fall and people would try to get in there. Every morning I woke up, I'd drive out and see what was going on. And sure enough, there's like somebody's like BMW SUV that they think somehow can make it through 6 foot of and no, just stuck there. And I'm like, fair.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, so the garbage cans. So I'm driving around the neighborhood to check out the damage, right? A couple of days later, and there's like this garbage can that says, "Is this yours?" on there, and someone drew on this piece of paper. They drew a trash can, which I found hilarious because it's on a trash can.
Yeah,
like so it's just a trash can.
Yeah,
and then a bunch of wind next to it, like as if it blew it, right?
Yeah,
because neighbors in my neighborhood did not take their trash cans in.
No.
And they were blowing like crazy. Now, these trash cans we have are issued by the county. They're huge on the rollers, right? Like, so if you're not, it feels like everyone got those before us. But if you live somewhere where you still have your own garbage cans, these are like daddy garbage cans. They're like gigantic.
Yeah.
And they catch wind. You can tell by you just can look and see that thing is going to fly. It's that wide, right? So yeah, then I look over there and there's another one down the street. Is this your garbage can? I'm looking around going, well, here's the issue. Who knows whose garbage cans is whose?
Yeah.
And that garbage can, Eric, those 2 garbage cans are still out there in front of those houses. Like someone hasn't come back for their garbage can.
Right.
Here's my thought.
Yeah.
My thought is, I mean, right, you don't need it. Here's my thought. Somebody obviously took other people's garbage cans. Like, I was thinking about this. And this is why I said until they sort that out, which is we're good forever because they're not ever going to figure this out.
No,
I think there were garbage cans fucking everywhere, and people took a garbage can and maybe another one if it was in front of their house and said, "Hey, is this yours?"
Exactly.
Other people who didn't have a garbage can out front just walked down the street, got one, the closest one, said, "This is my garbage can."
It's kind of like how trampolines get.
You can see the problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because then people aren't gonna. Yeah.
Like. It's incomplete information.
Right.
It's an incomplete information game that no one's playing. But two somebodies have garbage cans, do not have garbage cans. Who knows where they came from?
Yeah.
That's the other thing about the wind. 100-mile-an-hour gust blowing for who fucking knows how long?
Yeah.
Like 3 hours. Those things could have come from the other street.
Right.
We lost a lot of shingles on our old roof.
Oh, dang.
I went over to my parents' house. They lived 2 doors down, and I was down there. I was back there in their backyard helping them look. And they're like, "No, everything." And they have a new roof. They're like, "Oh man, honestly, everything's pretty good." Then my mom goes, "Oh, Gary, a shingle." There's a shingle on the ground, right?
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, goddamn." She goes, "No." And I go, "Let me see that." I pick it up. It's brown.
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's mine."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, this is my brown broken ass shingle." I'm like, "Your guys' roof is blue." They're like, "Oh." I'm like, "That's mine." So I came back and told Alicia, I was like, "Yeah, I just was picking up our shingles out of my parents' backyard, so I need to get a new roof."
Yeah.
And but the last thing I'll say is, during Hurricane Ian, we lost power for 6 days on some trifling shit where one branch hit those stupid power lines.
Oh yeah.
And we were out for 6 days. And I told myself never again.
Yeah.
So I bought myself a big ass generator, a bunch of cables,
Yeah.
stored 25 gallons of stabilized gas in my garage, and guess what got broken out day one of Milton?
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, my plan went into effect, bro.
Yeah.
So we didn't lose anything in the fridge.
Well, that's good.
We were running everything. We had the window unit in the bedroom, so we have a little bit of AC in the bedroom.
Yeah.
We lived like that for many days, and it worked out though.
Well, that's
it worked
good.
out. Everybody was safe. You know,
Yeah.
everything was good. Brittany got damaged pretty good. She lives next to my parents. Her part of her bathroom ceiling caved in from a leak.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
And of course, you know, people living in flooded areas got hit really hard, and there are still people without power. But yeah, no, other than that, man. But yeah, that tree at that angle, man.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. You know, and you go outside and look at shit. You know the skyline of all the trees and homes in your area in the dark. You just kind of memorize where all those things are.
Yeah.
And when you see one wrong, you're like, oh, that's wrong.
Oh, exactly.
That angle ain't right. That big ass tree that ain't the normal angle it's at.
No, I get that.
But on the upshot, bro, I went out the other day. Everyone's yard waste where they've cut down their trees and they whatever is still by the road, because they won't pick that up. I can't imagine when they'll ever pick up all that shit.
Yeah.
I did get myself some firewood.
Oh, well, there you go.
I snagged a bunch of good oak and some maple, and I brought it back to the house. I'm gonna cut it up. I got firewood to last me several years now.
Yeah, that sounds like some lemonade to me.
No, bro, it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, I took them lemons. Bro.
Yeah. A thing that people might not realize, that the good thing about a hurricane is that usually, or at least with the last bunch that I can remember, after the hurricane comes through, we get a little bit of a cold front, like a little bit of so it makes Florida like actually tolerable, almost as if the world is saying, sorry, I just had to ruin everything, but here's a thing to smooth things over, and it makes it somewhat pleasant outside, where it's not just kill yourself.
Yeah, we actually had some like cool days.
Yeah.
We had like a cool day and a pretty cool night, and I was like, oh well. Like, the meme online I loved was like, look at the weather out here trying to be all nice, like it didn't just try to kill us 4 days ago. And I'm like, yeah, no, it did. Like,
right, yeah, no, it totally did. But I appreciate.
There's all this little stuff. Like, what got me was like, I love how I can't connect to the internet because we lost the internet.
Yeah.
So that was one day, like Spectrum was down. That's one problem is I was like, and I had my little pushing my glasses up because I'm like, if you have a generator to power the modem and the router, usually the internet's up, you just can't use it because the router's not. So I run my cable and plugged all that in.
Right.
Spectrum's out anyway.
Yeah.
Spectrum came back an hour before our power came back.
Yeah, that's why we actually switched from Spectrum to Fios, because of that. Because that happened last year, I think, or the year before.
Oh, okay. Like Spectrum went down for you.
Yeah, and it was like,
I remember that you guys didn't have the internet for a really long time.
Yeah,
after you had power back, right? Like,
yeah,
it was a while.
My wife, she was working remotely, so it's like we had to do
which
something.
Is like screw me, I guess.
And
like,
she was the only one in Florida, I think, that at her job, and so it's kind of like. And she's like us, where we feel like people think that we're lying if we call out from work. That it's like, even if we have a legit thing, we still feel like
bro.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a whole thing. So we switched to Fios, and we didn't have any issues this time at all that I recall. But
the only reason I'm still on, I'm sorry. The only reason I'm still on Spectrum is because they have the Rays.
Games. That's true.
Verizon doesn't have that. That's the only difference.
And then I thought about you whenever the trop blew popped its top, if you will. And
they ripped the roof off the trop.
Yeah.
They won't be ready to play in there when the season opens. They're trying to find a place to play. There was a lot of talk about, is this the end of the trop? And we still don't know that.
Yeah.
If the damage is too extensive inside,
might as well just scrap it. Yeah.
They're great. Yeah, because they're building the new stadium, but they haven't even started working on it yet. The new stadium's not gonna be ready until 2028.
Jeez,
it's like 3 years, man. So so the Rays are in a tough spot, and I feel bad for all that.
And
obviously all the people that work there and stuff.
Oh yeah. Did you see that? And we'll talk about Turtles eventually, y'all.
We're getting to that like in just a second.
But I forget where it was, but I knew it. I think it ended up making it past Orlando. But there was somebody that had put wrote on a beach ball like where this is from, and they left it outside during the hurricane to see how far it would go. And
Oh shit.
Yeah, it might. I want to say it was like somewhere in Sarasota, and it made it somewhere past Orlando.
Oh,
And I'm like,
I
that's
love
kind of
that. I've
neat.
heard that story.
That's kind of
The other,
neat. But I feel like that's gonna
yeah.
happen a lot. Like and I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of feel like it's a fun thing, but also it's kind of a serious thing. I don't know. Who's to say?
Well, yeah. Well, I see you ride it on a beach ball and everyone thinks you're great. I ride it on a goddamn 4x4 piece that goes through somebody's house and now they're mad. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on.
I rode on a scrap sheet of plywood that flew,
Right.
through a bus and killed some kids. But I mean,
But,
like,
you know,
I mean, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I just love some of the like the Twitter or X pushes you get that are like, from like the local emergency stuff in Tico.
Yeah.
Where like I'm just sitting there like 2 days without power, and all of a sudden I get a push from like Tico that's like, please do not attempt DIY power line repairs. And I'm like, that is the most Florida man shit I've ever heard in my life.
Oh,
that is everybody. And Alicia and I were talking about it, and I was like, I can see the temptation if it's a line that runs to your house. So
Right.
for example, I'm not saying I would do this, but let's say, because in a lot of older neighborhoods, and I believe, does your power run off the pole straight to your house?
I think so. Yeah.
On a line? Yeah. Like that's not uncommon. Like our power lines here are above ground that service our house, but the power runs underground to our house, like from the pole. It doesn't go straight from the pole on a line. I'm telling Alicia, I'm like, look, I can see where it's like a damn tree fell, snagged that line out of that little metal tube, little boy that comes from my house where the power goes, and it just yanked it out.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here going, they're never going to come fix this because it's a me problem, right?
Yeah.
Like when they're restoring power, guys, like during these hurricanes, and I understand it, they literally, they basically min-max it. What is the fix that will cost the least amount of time to restore the service to the most people? Right? Like that's the honest, egalitarian way to do it. Like just the most people. The problem is, bro, if you're living in like Plant City and a tree goes bee-hoo and pulls that little line out,
right,
and everyone else has power, guess how long it's gonna take for you to get reconnected? Farmer Greg amount of time, basically. So I could see some redneck being like, well, I've worked on electrical wires on my truck. And you probably could put that thing back up there and wire it back in. Like, I'm not saying I would do it, but I don't think these DIY repairs were people trying to do lineman work. I think it was that. I think it was, I can see the problem, guys. If you brought one man out here with a ladder, he could reconnect this in 10 minutes. But I'm going to wait 7, 8, 9 days for y'all to come up here. I'm going to try to reconnect it because this sucks. And you don't want to play that game. You know what I'm saying? But when I saw the DIY repairs, I was like, I've seen it all. You know what I'm saying? But Florida Man will run that plan. But anyway, I'm glad to hear you're good. And glad to hear that everything made it through okay.
It did. Thankfully, my back's back now. So that's always a pain.
Guess who's back?
A lot of guys in chat.
A little bit of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, chat. Guys, thanks so much for saying everything.
Everyone's going off.
Yeah, Robbie, it's been a while. Yeah. Got just people talking about the hurricane and different things like that. So
called you and Shannon his personal pan Jesus. Personal pan Jesus. What's up with that?
Oh, I don't know that this is my story to tell necessarily. Michael McDonald's will have to give me the okay, but
that's fine.
He has a wild ass story about the hurricane. He graciously let me and Shannon Shannon, my wife, get involved in, and it's insane. But it's one of those things that you could look back and laugh at now, but when he was going through it, it was probably not very fun at all. But I was dying.
I know just from kind of hearing, I know that Mike had some issues with the storm and stuff like that.
He did. And I will gladly tell that story the way that I remember it. But Yes,
All
but
right.
we were there for our bud.
You were the personal pan
personal
Jesus.
pan Jesus. Yes,
That might just be the episode title. I hate to say this,
that might
but
be.
I mean, it's not connected at all.
No,
But in some ways, it's the most connected thing
exactly.
ever.
So yeah. All right.
You ready to get into some content?
Yes. Let's
All right.
let's talk about some sort of Ninja Turtles related content.
Yeah. So today it is all about Furrlough,
Yes.
the comic. Okay?
Yes.
So a little bit of background. This is a bit of a stub of a story. I'm gonna spoil it for you now, boys and girls. I and people of all sizes. I don't want to mislead you. This is an unfinished Ninjara comic that was printed in Furrlough in late '96 and early '97 in 3 issues. Okay. This is Chris Allen and Dean Clarrain, which is badass and black and white, and it's awesome. It's still pretty cool to see, and we're going to get into it. But I guess by way of a so basically here. So this comic canonically came out after Adventures was over, and in the story, it is after Adventures is over, and it follows Ninjara and her daughter,
Mocha.
Mocha,
Yeah.
who is the daughter of Ninjara and Mocha Shan. So basically, so if you remember back in TMNT Adventures, Archie Adventures, issues 67 through 70, there was the plot line where effectively the end game is that Raphael and Ninjara break up, right? This one takes place where they meet Mocha Shan, who is the leader of a group of hybrid wolfmen. There's a thing with a sniper hunter that kills, the sniper kills Mocha Shan's partner, and everything's going on. We're told later, I guess, that Mocha Shan died by the same sniper, which is like really sad.
Yeah, I think we find that out in these issues.
Oh,
That's where we
okay,
find that out. Yeah.
But we get to know now that that she fathered, or that he fathered a child with Ninjara.
Yeah.
Named Mocha. So that's what we're in now. A little bit about Furrlough. Furrlough is an imprint for comics for the furry enthusiasts.
Yes.
They get racy, right? Originally, it was published by Antarctic Press. Later by Radio Comics, which is the publisher when Ninjara appears in this 3-issue run, Bad Seed. It started in 91. That's when Furrlough got started. It is still ongoing. It is the longest comic anthology ongoing currently. Yeah. Which is wild.
It is. I love that TMNT Entity, which is a great TMNT resource. Like if you haven't checked them out, they are fantastic. But they referred to this as a furry stroke mag, and that killed me.
Some of the covers are, let's put it this way, very much ahead of their time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Like they were into the furry thing before anyone knew it was cool. Yeah. Before it was uncool, back when it was first cool. Like that, like they're like several layers of the onion. Right. And some of this art would just be online right now. Yeah. Like today. And people will be all about it. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, Radio Comics had titles that are all good. You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff. But they had an imprint called Sin Factory.
Sin Factory, which sounds like the name of my my industrial band.
Yeah, like Sin Factory imprint. And these are selected titles, but I wanted to share a couple with you. From 97 to 98, they published 3 issues of a series called Filthy Animals, which I'm sure you can guess what that is.
Yeah, of course.
There were 63 issues between 1997 and May 2008 of a series simply called Milk.
Which is like the most innocuous word, but for some reason it's
innocuous, but when you get to the furry thing, you're like, oh no, that that's 63 issues of a furry stroke mag to me. And then, of course, my favorite imprint, my favorite title on the Sin Factory imprint that only ran between 99 and 2000 for 5 issues, simply called Pornotopia. Pornotopia.
Oh,
Uh,
oh.
You know, it's like, hey, mom, I want to go see Zootopia. No, we got Zootopia at home. You know,
yeah, it's Pornotopia. Oh.
No, it'd be bad.
That's
that's the wrong movie. Don't rent that. So yeah, that is Radio Comics, Antarctic Press. That is Furrlough with 2 R's.
Yes.
And here's the thing, you know, it's not just a furry stroke mag. They did republish a bunch of like Japanese manga stuff that was anthropomorphic. Some was adult only, some was not.
Yeah.
There are some perfectly fine titles here that were just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But yeah, they got that going on.
They got that going on. And this has it going on too, at least in one shot. You get,
which we'll probably flash you with it.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So that is Furrlough, and again, this is by Chris Allen and Dean Clarrain. So did you want me to maybe tackle the first? You tackle the second, and I tackle the third. How do you want to do this?
That sounds good. That sounds good for me. Do you want to talk about this cover real quick? Just this particular one?
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, we haven't done comics in a long time.
I know. It's been a while.
Well, you're going to talk about the cover because I'm about to do the first issue. So
okay,
you talk about the cover.
This is neat. I wasn't sure at first if this was Ninjara because before I'd read any of it. Because
it's a different style.
It is
Adventures.
Right. And but then once you read it you realize that it totally is. And I love it. I think it looks great, and it's got a little bit of like because like her feet look super big, and they look even bigger on the screen here. But
there's some deformed, and there's some perspective.
Right.
I think forced perspective that's happening too, weirdly.
Yeah, and then there's like some realism too. Like there's some kind of middle ground there that they're doing, and it works great. It looks fantastic. But yeah, I think that they're using on this particular. Actually, I think on all of the issues, because the other 2 images that I showed were 47, 40, and 48. Those are the covers for those. And but they're using that same stuff that the Mirage Volume 2 did with the background that's 3D or that's 3D.
Like the digital, like the beginning of that digital art manipulation.
Right. Yeah. And that's what you're seeing here, and it looks really cool because it just looks like smoke behind her.
It does.
It's colored great. It looks.
Well, you can just see this and know that it was digitally colored.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how far we've come. I mean, look at the gradients on the pile of the mound of earth.
Right.
The gradient on the bottom of the sword. Yeah. If it wasn't fully digitally colored, it was mostly digitally colored.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you see that in comics too for cover work in this era. Mm-hmm. And then the body of the comic usually isn't very digitally colored, typically, especially in indie comics. But of course, that's going to become the norm in not too many years from now in indie comics.
Oh yeah.
But for this, I love this cover. Once again, the other issues don't really feature her, so it's really cool to see her here. Mm-hmm. And she's got kind of a new do going on hair wise.
Yeah.
But she's also an older and more mature Ninjara. Remember, if you look at so on the cover she's standing there, and then Mocha is clutching her leg. Mm-hmm. Mocha was born and grown up and can talk and stuff since we last saw Ninjara. So she is a woman now.
Oh yeah, and for her body to get looking back the way that it looks now after pregnancy, amen, sister. Like that's what I'm talking about.
Listen,
that's some hardcore work.
You know what I mean? I mean, and again, I do stress a fun thing about Ninjara. She is not a mutant. She is the last of a long-lived race of anthropomorphic foxes.
Yeah,
and at first, she'll tell you all about it. She was a bit of a fox supremast when we first met her.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I like the cover a lot. I think it's cool. Okay. I would. There, if I was mag stroking, that's all I'm saying. Why not?
Max. Lordy day.
So this next image is really great. It's another inset. And by Chris Allen, and really cool. Really love it. I think I love this almost better than the cover.
I was about to say I like this way more than the cover we got
because of the yin yang in the background and her
Yeah.
swords like sculpting around it.
Right.
And just another classic example of like, Chris Allen being so well versed in black and white, like duotone imagery because of his time with Mirage. You really see it here.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's just off the cuff for your boy. Like it's just so good. Proportions are great. Love her stance. And really exciting. And she gets her own little imprint up top too, her own little masthead.
Oh yeah, with the yin yang up there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something cool that I wish would have existed for more than 3 little issues. But anyway, you ready to move on?
Yep.
Open this thing up. All right. So we start off with a prologue, and it is a kind of a masked woman pushing a shopping cart through what looks like just an apocalyptic, destroyed city. The narrative is really cool, talking about how, for a long time she wished she was alone, free of men, free of watching them destroy the world. But now there's a time when she can no longer stand to be alone, right? And we see her moving through this city, and we find out there's a baby in the cart, and says, "Mama," And this character says, "And now, when the child of that union is all that I have, I wish I had more."
Dang.
Which is really well written stuff especially for the opening.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, this person senses a light coming, and sure enough, it's some demon boys. These demon boys come out. They have such cool lettering for their speech bubbles. A lot of mixed fonts in this spread alone, which I really appreciate. Between her saying "so bright" and then "fuck" in like a computer layout language. It's like it's not even like drawn. And then what seems to be a really cool font typeset for the lettering of the demons.
Yes.
And they want the baby. In particular, saying some cold-blooded shit about, "We demand the child, we demand its soul."
Yeah.
And then your boy down there, old spiny skeleton boy says, "to join the soul of its father."
Right. It's like, oh,
bro.
Shit. Yeah, that's some stuff.
Bro.
That's some real deal.
It's real deal Holyfield. So this character says never, and she produces a blade.
Yes.
And in this panel, which I love the goddamn layouts on this page, by the way.
Yes.
It's so much cool stuff's going on.
Oh yeah. So much movement and just, this feels really good.
Panel sharing as the attacks of the demons with their handheld weapons reveal Ninjara from behind these robes. Okay.
Right.
And love it. Love how the shred of her garments crosses the panels.
Yes.
These are just things that I miss so much about doing comics on the regular, especially like comics that are, you just tell there's love, where things split the panel and stuff like that. And it's so good.
It is.
And she says, like, basically, you touch my little girl and you're done. It's on site, right?
Right.
So she says there'll be no place to hide on Earth. And they're like, "Oh, what do you mean we got the baby?" And she's like, "No." Honestly, I absolutely love her in profile here in the top right.
Oh yeah.
That is so Ken Mitroni that like it like, I don't know, like it was like he channeled Ken Mitroni in that one preview shot, that one side shot. I'm like, that, I love that angle. It's so strong, sad. It's just everything. And the demon disappears. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit like Jacob Dylan because I'm just seeing one headlight.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Good. I know what you mean. We could go a little further.
Just one headlight showing on
for no reason.
On Ninjara. And I think it's because like she obviously has been like, her clothes have been tattered.
Yeah.
If you go to the top page, you can show this because it doesn't have any nip. The top left panel, she's lost that whole part of her dress.
Right.
Like on her left breast, like her hair is there covering it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't feel like this is exploitative to me.
Okay.
To me, it's like, yeah, in normal comics, we wouldn't just have this showing.
Yeah.
There's a panel we can't show you on the bottom, but ask your cool uncle about it.
Yes.
But I feel like it just, okay, can I make,
go for it.
okay. It might just be one headlight for one headlight's sake here, boys. I mean, this is Furrlough. But I think there's something very, and once again, Dean Clarrain as a writer is a smart guy. Like we saw it all through Adventures. Like there's not much that he gets involved in that doesn't mean something.
Right.
It's something to have the breast of this mother bared as her baby, which, by the way, this version of who I take it is Mocha is very young.
Yeah, like
she's like
almost.
still swaddled up. She can barely, she can talk more than you'd think a baby can talk, but that's a baby. Okay. It's something about having the left breast exposed as her baby is ripped away. Like there is symbology there with a mother and a child and being vulnerable and like being burying yourself during that moment.
And I think
that I think is like actual art, right? Like and not just a titty for titty's sake.
Right.
If you
and
will.
when we find out what's happening here in the next page or two, I think that further adds to that explains there's more. It further emphasizes that symbology there, or that connection. Another thing is Ninjara is like you mentioned earlier, she is from an ancient race of just anthropomorphic fox people that she is probably used to being naked for all intents with like I'm not necessarily saying this is fact. I'm just saying that it could be that like her people might not engage in that regularly, that they might just engage in clothing as a means to blend in with normal the rest of this world society.
with the outside world,
right? And so this might mean nothing to her in the grand scheme of things. And so
I mean, when you're battling demons, I don't think you're worried about they saw my one headlight, so like now they're gonna make fun of me. It's like, no, I'm fighting you to the death for my child. It doesn't. She's probably not aware that she's got one headlight sticking out,
right?
Because once you're in this fight, I doubt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's your furry part if you're just into that instead of into art, which it's fine if you're just into that. That's fine. But we see her in the next panel wake up. No. And then we realize that this was a dream.
Yeah.
So Mocha is there. And again, the much older version that we see on the cover, more like maybe 9-10 years old version of Mocha is there now. Not just the baby that's swaddled in the little cart there. And she basically says, "Are you all right?" She's, "Yeah, I just had a nightmare." And then she says, "Was it about daddy again?" And you're like, "Oh." He's like, "No, sweetie, not exactly. This one I was just being alone." And she's like, "All alone?" And then we come to see now that she's actually in this like megalopolis, like city, you know?
Right.
And she's like, "Yeah, if you can imagine such a thing." And we see all these people running around, right?
Yeah.
And I do agree to your point that when she wakes up with her daughter, like, and they're very good about revealing this, because like when she wakes up, they're just near a trashed car and all this trash, and you think like, man, maybe like they are in this post-apocalyptic world,
right?
So it's a pretty cool page reveal when you see the city and the businessman that has the Cobra Commander jacket on.
I want that so bad.
I want that Cobra Commander jacket, bro.
Bad.
He's one like little hood away from running that plan.
Exactly.
It's a cool flip where you realize, oh no, they're huddled in the garbage of a big city, basically. So but I agree with you that when you realize she wakes up and that her child's with her, that I agree with you that it was a dream. And having that breast exposed, I mean, people have dreams like that all the time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Especially when the symbology of that she's scared. You know, she lost her mate in Mokashan.
Right.
And now she's going to lose her daughter too, and be literally as alone as you possibly can be.
So what if
her
really losing Mokashan was the exposed breast, and then her child still having it was or the other way around? I don't know. Maybe there's some symbology there. I don't know. There's a lot.
There's a lot. So it's funny because you hear First Stroke Mag, and you're a few pages into this comic, and all of a sudden we got one headlight sticking out, and we're kind of like, oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. Like I'm seeing that, and I go, no, that's an adult comic.
Yeah.
Who hasn't read that?
Right.
I don't know. But adult comic, it's almost like how back in the day, anything above a PG was an X rating until they made the R rating and PG-13. It's kind of like, you can call any comic that has adult themes or has, nudity in it. You can say that that's an X-rated comic if you want to, but like R-rated movies show you that shit. So
exactly.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that is part 1. So Eric, if you want to
hop
into Ninjara part 2.
So part 2, we cut to Japan. And this is where we get Ninjara talking about how she used to be, at one point, the greatest thief in all of Japan. Which she, back when she first appeared, she did some stuff with Chen Kan, if I'm not mistaken. And both of them recently appeared in the Shredder's Revenge video game as background characters, if I recall correctly. And so that's pretty neat. Well, we're here in Japan, and this looks awesome. Just great artwork. Clarine and Alan, just fantastic. Again, if you haven't read Adventures, you're not a Turtles fan. I'm just gonna say it. You're not a Turtles fan.
Oh, sure.
You're not. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Because you're a little bit like when Eric hadn't watched that Mikey Toys Around. You weren't fully. You hadn't really watched the whole animated series. If you haven't read Adventures, you're not the Turtles fan. I'll be kinder. You're not the Turtles fan you could be.
Okay, there you go. Or the Turtles fan you think you are. How about that? Yeah.
Maybe the Turtles fan that you should be.
We all should be.
Could be.
That's true.
You should reach for that golden ring. You should land among the stars.
You should.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep. So Ninjara's trying to reach for the stars here that you can see in the background, and because she can't get past this doorman, this no-neck doorman, which is like
no-neck doorman.
Woo, head and shoulders. So he is not letting her get past, and she's like, "I'm here. Tell Tetsu Kono that I'm here for a job." Like he said, he put it out in the want ads, like looking for a job.
Yeah, you tell him.
And so there's Ninjara, and she looks amazing. Oh my goodness, like. Chris Allen, just excellent. One of the best.
Let's go.
And
God,
so,
it feels good to be home.
It does. What I mean? It does. And so she is trading insults with this doorman, and they're speaking Japanese, and I forgot to write down what they say, but TMNT Entity does have what they translate to if you are so inclined to go look it up. But most of it's he's calling her a slut mostly. And then she starts insulting, saying he's got the baby dick, is basically what I remember from what I can recall.
And he seems to know a hell of a lot about her. Like, if you read what he says, he's like, oh, you, a thief, no honor, Dorobo, child, no husband. And it's like, what? Like blood type, A positive.
Right, yeah.
Mom's maiden birth name, La Foxy. I mean, like what else are you going to be telling me? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You got my address. You got what you got on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I got my furry stroke mags in the backpack. Like what you gonna say to me next? Exactly. You know I'll be listening to Jacob Dylan in my dreams. Like what?
Oh my lord. We can,
you know what I mean? Like
we can drive it home if you want. That's what they're saying.
Oh, with just one.
Yeah, with just one. But he looks
great,
bro, because he's just all decked out in black. And you could just see his eyes. That's all you can see. Like it's cut there. And so she's just like getting really irritated. But eventually, you hear from the intercom, someone tell Ichiro, which is what this character's name is, that it's enough to let her in because she just drew a sword and they're about to spar. So she goes in, and she walks in through this little hallway, and it's kind of narrow and everything. And she's presenting pleasantries, saying that she's honored, but she insults the doorman essentially. And Tetsuro, what's his name again? Tetsuro, I've got it right here. Kono. He says that he's honored too, whatever. And Ichiro did exactly what his function is. And anyway, she's like, he says something about, I know you will appreciate my need to narrow the passageway. And then she puts up a question mark, and then you see some other ninjas jump out, and she's like, I think you're mixing your metaphors, but he continues to say
I think like, just to kind of, I think the thing he's basically saying is like, he says an open door leads to many possibilities, too many in fact.
Right.
I know you will appreciate my need to narrow the passageway.
Right. To prune,
which kind of explains, like, you got to get past the doorman, and in this panel, past my 3 friends.
I guess the door. I was taking it a little more literally. I guess that's where I was getting crossed up on, because it shows her walking down the narrow door area. I was taking it a little too literally, but now when you explain it like that, it makes perfect sense. And I understood that kind of, but I thought he was really emphasizing on that. But anyway,
like, I think you understand why that hallway narrow as shit.
Right. Like,
I gotta narrow that passageway, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be able to fit in here. If you're too wide, you can't get into my lair.
Exactly. You can't get your you can't get your hand in. You can't get your what is it? What was the kick the bottom?
Only a hand.
Yeah, I could only get my hand in, but like anyway.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something. Yeah, that was terrible.
Let's go. Only a hand.
Yeah.
No, you pulled it back.
Okay.
Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. So she's thinking she might be a dead giveaway, but mostly it's just surprise. She's just like, oh, okay, wasn't expecting this, but here we are.
These dudes.
Tetsuo Kono is just keeping it chill, and it's just talking about how, as you can see by my garden, I take horticulture very seriously. I'm not only just a practitioner, but I'm also a collector, and a collector of the world's most exotic and rare flora. And he wishes for Ninjara to steal a seed of an orchid that's the last of its kind, and he's needed. It's the only one. It's the only link to its genus and all that, and it's just very important. And as he's talking, he's very casual, just trimming up a little bonsai tree, whatnot. And you see ninjas being thrown in the background, like she's dispensing of his guard or whatever. And then there she is again, just looking fantastic. And he goes,
a little Sabrina Carpenter to her face, doesn't she? Right there.
I can see that. Yeah.
Or is that just me?
No, I can see that.
She's working late because she's a ninja.
she says that she's honored. I could do that, and no problem. Just give me my money half up front as usual, and I never fail. And he's like, "Oh, see that you don't." And he continues to say that the seed is the Serenakai Laboratories is held at that place, and they are on the Sakura Dori Avenue, 2 blocks east of all this bullshit. And she says she knows the thing. They ask about security and blah blah blah, and he says that the seed is to the orchid known as Gilgameshai. And like Gilgamesh. So she's like, all right, cool, got it, thanks, bye. And she walks past. She trades insults with Ichiro as she walks by. And then Tetsuo Kono tells Ichiro to follow her, discover her weakness, and bring it to me, which is wild. It's not just like discover her weakness and tell me what it is. It's like discover it and who it is and bring it to me.
Fuck ass Depeche Mode lyrics you talking right now, Tetsu.
That's exactly
like
David Gahan just
Depeche Mode ass lyrics like find her weakness, bring it to me. Like I literally see her at Dave Gahan singing that shit.
Oh, totally.
Like
make me understand. And so then we get a scene where Ninjara's talking to a monk, and he's like, whatever you wish, I'll make it happen. Basically, she's saying, can you protect my daughter at your temple, because some stuff, I gotta go to work, essentially. And he's like, we don't need your money, but we're gonna take your money because we gotta eat, so you know what I'm saying. And then she explains to Mocha that, you can't come with me because I got to go to work. But Mocha makes her upset because she tells her goodbye and all that, but gets her kind of in her feels because she says she wants to be like her. So that kind of, strikes a chord with Ninjara as she starts tearing up. She's like me? God forbid. And then we cut to her in front of I should know what this is. It's a gate. It's a certain type of gate. I've just been playing Ghost of Tsushima, And we see there it's all in that game, and I can't think of what it is.
That's a great game.
It's an excellent game. I just beat the main story today, and I was like,
sick.
Oh yeah,
You know they're coming out with Ghost 2, right?
I've heard about this. Yes.
Dude, that's gonna be so good. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. But the greatest thief in all of Japan. Cue the laugh track. Money. I'm only doing it for the money. I've always only done it for the money. But this is different. This money will buy us time. Time to follow the trail, to dissect the clue. The single clue I have to find my husband's murderers. So that's where we find out that Mahoka-san has been murdered. And then she continues on to say, I was the greatest thief in Japan, and yet I allowed them to steal you from me. My dearest, screw the lame irony. I want revenge. And it says to be continued. Now, so again, another thing that we didn't mention is that we do see Ninjara in the future, or at least we hear about her. Well, no. We see her in the future, but it's not her future self. I think it's the Turtles, if I'm not mistaken, right? The future Shark trilogy, all that stuff. And that's where Eye Patch
Future Shark, like Turtle Co. timeline.
Yes,
she's there.
That's where Eye Patch Raph tells present day Raph that, hey, y'all are gonna break up, and it's gonna be really rough because you're stupid and you do some stupid shit, and it really messes with Raphael, and as it rightfully should, and
causes the breakup.
Oh yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy,
which is a causal loop paradox.
Yes,
gotta love that shit.
Yeah, it is so good. But we definitely so in that canon, we definitely know that Ninjara is still alive in the future. But she they don't mention Mahoka-san, probably because he gets killed pretty quickly. But
and also the Future Shark trilogy happened before the events of where Moga-san came up.
Right, but the future part of that did not. It was already it was the past to the future. So the future shark stuff, like when they're in the future, that all of this has already happened.
I was saying that it probably makes sense from a bit of a writing retcon situation where they had not, when they did the Future Shark trilogy, they had not figured out that they were going to have Raphael and Ninjara break up and her be with Moka-san yet. So in that, when they wrote that story, we see her in the future, but there's nothing about Moka or Moka-san. Because they hadn't come up with that yet. And then when they made those issues, you're right, it's a little bit of like a plot hole.
Oh, okay. Because I can't remember if we saw future version of her, or
we did. She had dreads, remember?
Was that her? Or I think that was another
character.
Shit.
It wasn't her. Oh my God. Yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
Because the joke was Raph has a type.
That's what it
Raph
was.
is with another mutant who looks just like Ninjara and has dreads. And we were like, oh, bro, it's Ninjara. And absolutely not.
There we go.
No, Ninjara is free. This is her future. We don't see her in the Turtle timeline, which means those timelines agree.
Right. Okay, cool. But to your point, though, they might not have published Mahoka-san's stuff yet.
No.
But we've seen the future of that. So I see I still see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that was tricking me out because I was like, I remember she was there, but I felt like there was something else. Okay, good. Okay,
and that's what it was, because we thought that was Ninjara for a while. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, Moshi, and we're like, who, or whatever her name was. I was like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah, no, and I think they did that.
Ninjara. Anyway,
I think they did that on purpose to make her look sort of similar. So you questioned if that, and I think that was done by design. But I just thought that was neat to further emphasize that this is still a thing, and she's got the clue, she's got the seed, and I like that they didn't really show her having to go through and get the seed. It just cuts to her having it right in here. Like,
no.
That's not it.
That's not it.
Oh
no. What I think that is the sole evidence she has.
Oh, okay.
Like the clue, the single clue to have, I have to find my husband's murderers.
Yeah.
And she's holding this, whatever that thing is, because in the next issue, she actually goes after the seed.
Yeah, you're right. I read this afternoon and I completely forgot that she does that in the next issue. But Yeah. The only thing, the way this, whoever, our cool uncle who put this together, it's put together fine because it's just chronological, but it still has a disjointedness to it that makes me feel like I don't know necessarily when this is actually happening and at what part, but it's still fine. But that was also my fault, my bad. But yeah. So all right, issue 3,
Seed of Destruction, chapter 3. Awesome opening page. Love this 3-panel split. The moon with Ninjara, flying through in several different actions.
Mm-hmm.
It says darkness from darkness, the thief in the night, sleek shadow against the moon. God damn it. I wish this was a real comic forever. So she pops down and we see her, and a lot of great art here. She hops down and she realizes she's doing her thief case in the joint kind of situation. She has an inner monologue about no motion detectors. She can't smell any cheap after shave, so nobody's outside the building guarding it.
Right.
And she's like, still, she says, I've never seen this word before. Most likely some sort of chip or fiber optic nerve system epiderming the windows and doors. I've never heard the word epiderming.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a real word.
I don't either. I'm assuming it means something on the skin, because your epidermis is like your skin, right?
Yeah, it's like a skin, that there's some kind of fiber optic nerve system on the skin.
Yeah.
But I've never heard the term epiderming as like a verb before.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's a real word.
I don't know. I'll look it up while you're doing that.
You do that. She says, but hopefully not the AC shaft. She slashes it open, and sure enough, there we are. So she says, so far so good. We see me, if I hadn't gotten married, lighting up a cigarette and kind of watching out for these, just basically being a dude, just watching the floor, being like, what's up? And she says, only a minimum wage worker, and she throws her Honto where the handle hits him, which I appreciate. So she like knocks him out. It says, who'll wake up wishing he had taken that job deep frying squid. Dang. So easy. Too easy. And it's kind of cool because on the bottom panel, I really appreciate how it's a monitor.
Yep.
So that is actually a really, really good technique in layouts for causing tension without doing anything. You just make the frame a monitor and you go, oh, someone sees her.
Right.
Love that shit. That's Absolutely. So good.
So good.
The narrative, and again, I just love the art of comics. Like literally, like that's a great way to insinuate
show not tell
tension with nothing. No words. No, you don't waste a panel doing it. Even you just use the border.
Right.
Brilliant. So we see a shot again of that slashed open vent. And she's like, or am I just being paranoid? After all, this place doesn't hide gold or cash or version 2000 of the month's hottest netwear. It's just a seed.
Yeah.
So she's like, grab it and run. Now, of course, this seed has to be in like the most, high-tech Krang's Secret Workshop looking ass beam levitating, technology showcase situation, because why couldn't it just be in a drawer, Right. Exactly. So I love that. She's like, and all of a sudden, boom, here come the armed guards, calling her Kumo, calling her thief. Stop where you are. We won't hesitate to shoot. And she's like, oh, I'm so scared. And they're like, don't do it. We're serious. She's like, seriously, eat these Chinese stars. And she misses a guy, which is kind of cool. I always like it when people are a little fallible. Like they're going to do it. And they're like, oh, man, worked on one guy, didn't work on the other guy. Oh, shit. There's some shots coming through. Now, this is what gets you a little titillated, if you were.
Oh, okay.
In Furrlough. Not really. But this is what gets you excited about, like, I really wish there was more to this comic. Because this next sequence is what you could probably be promised by a full-length Ninjara run.
Oh, yeah.
This guy jumps on her, and she's like, okay, slings him over, says, you might as well make yourself useful, and makes him a bullet shield.
Yes.
And
this is the guy is this the guy so which guy got hit with the shuriken?
Okay, so there's two guys coming in the door. right? She throws 2 shuriken. One hits a dude, the other one misses, and that guy starts going rat-a-tat-tat.
Okay.
Then she says, "What? Another one?" And a guy is behind
There's
her.
a third guy.
A third dude who jumps in. And she's like, might as well make yourself useful. Slings him into the bullets, making him a human shield.
Yeah.
Then throws his shot up body at the guy with the gun and says, "Would you kill your own fellow guard just to keep me from stealing a seed?" And so I want to run through this. Takes a guy, throws him into the bullets, then throws him into the guy shooting, then talks shit about the guy like you shot your own guy.
Yeah.
Over a seed. And the only thing that tops this is that this bro's like, yeah, and I'll kill you as well. Like, not only do I not give a shit that I killed my buddy, but I will drop you for that seed. And she's like, well, that's next level.
Yeah, exactly. And the dude that she threw is like, I love that Chris Allen had to draw, like, I got to draw a dead guy's face. But also, as he's dying, he's hearing his friend be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill. I don't care. I'll kill him and you and everybody for this seed."
Imagine how fast that had to happen for your boy.
Oh yeah,
he's jumping on Ninjara from behind, like I got the drop on Ninjara.
Right,
he gets front somersaulted, riddled with bullets, and in the same path is flying now toward a guy who says, "Yeah, I'll kill him and I'll kill you," and like that's the end for you.
Yeah, like this look on his face, like he knows that he thinks he's got it. He got it in the bag.
He's cooked though. He knows it.
But then
because
he's cooked.
You were born a beautiful, innocent child to a happy mother and father, and you die like that.
Yeah,
like 30 years later. That's what happens. That's what happened if I wouldn't have gotten married. I'd have been that guy.
You would have been.
It's just true. Then she ups it. She's like, "Oh, you want to talk shit?" She's like, "Oh, but is it just a seed? You know I'll kill you first," because now they're in a standoff. Your boy's got his rat-a-tat-tat, and she's got the sword. And she says, "My sword arm is faster than your trigger. Spare yourself, drop the weapon." That's crazy. That's crazy to think, like, and also have the balls to say,
how does she know that?
Moving my whole arm and striking you with a sword is faster than your finger can pull a trigger, bro.
Right.
I remember this is the 90s. You didn't have trigger discipline back then.
That's true.
We wrapped our finger completely around the trigger at all times.
Yeah.
Just do it. So your boy's not in like trigger discipline mode. Your boy's fully curled, ready to go.
Right.
That's some fast reflexes from your girl.
Mm-hmm.
The best part is he says, and face the punishment that comes with failure. And it's like, oh, that's kind of crazy. And that makes me think, like, who owns that seed then, bro? Like, because that sounds like another bad dude.
It does.
He says never, and he gets shots off. This is the important thing. Ninjara's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You see him pop at least a shot off.
Right.
Then she says, but you aim too high. While she cuts his damn leg off just below the knee and says, "Have my sights set very low."
Yeah.
And you're like, you would have been shot. Like, I love it.
Do you think that that's a shot, or do you think that that's blood already? The stuff that's coming out of the gun, right? Like this cloud.
He says never, and I see that cloud that looks like a shot, and she says, "Your aim's too high."
Oh, so then
almost like
it feels like, I think you're right. I think he did shoot, but he shot too high because he was nervous.
I think maybe it's trying to show it was simultaneous. Like, so by the time the report happened of the gun, she's already got his leg cut.
Right.
Like, so it's literally like simultaneous.
Right. And he says legs. And he says my legs. So did she get both of them?
Goes both. I think she got both, man.
Dang. That's
either way. That's wild. That's
That
basically like you brought a knife to a gunfight and you won.
Yeah.
And that's Ninjara, everybody. That's Ninjara in a nutshell. She can do that. She can do that. She can.
Right.
So this guy got his damn legs cut off. So and this is it, boys. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
It says, all this pain and death over a seed, a simple seed. And she goes in there and grabs the seed, says, I must be overlooking some sort of subtext.
Now,
to never be.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, the character that you see, do you think that's her? Or do you think that silhouette, or is that another character? I think that's another character. Because her tail is...
no, it's in the panel behind her.
Yeah.
Who the hell could that be? Because it looks like her. The hair's not there. There's the tail, but her tail... Oh, no, her tail is bushy. And that tail is long and thin.
Exactly.
But it has the double jointed knee length, almost like she does.
Yeah, the
what do you call that?
digitigrade.
The digitigrade joints.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that. So it is definitely a creature of that type.
Right.
But I think is a female because I think I see some bust around there.
I think so.
But it looks more like a leopard type creature. You see like that, how the head looks very like feline.
Yes.
You know, I did not catch that. If I caught the open all the doors and possibilities and you catch that, well, you caught that. And I thought, oh, that's just her like hopping away or something. I don't know.
Right. No, I can see that. But I didn't get it until just now, just looking at it as you were talking about it. I just put that together.
Do you think maybe that's Ichiro?
Ooh.
Ichiro is just all dressed in black. You don't know about this guy. You don't know what he got going on.
That's true. We haven't seen his downstairs mix-up, so we don't know.
No, we haven't seen his downstairs mix-up. Either way, guys, the next page is probably the worst one.
It is.
It's an ad. You can show it. It's sad.
Yeah, and it's the one mention of the turtles that says this was an ad that came out, I think, before these issues came out, obviously, previewing it, saying it's Ninjara, and she looks cool as hell. She's got her masthead and everything. And it says, coming soon to the pages of Furrlough, Ninjara. And she says, I'm not hanging with teenagers anymore, by Steve Murphy, which they gave his real name, and Chris Allen. So,
which is really funny.
Yeah.
That he went by Dean Clarrain on the actual comics when it happened, but they put his original name up there.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
And you see that, and you feel like there's an alternate like universe where that was a run,
right?
And I would read that.
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
read that. I don't know.
I'm
maybe
totally
they were into. So the only thing I was able to find about the fate of Ninjara, was on the Technodrome forums. You take this for what you will,
right?
That Chris Allen talked about it on his blog at one point and said that like there's no big mystery. It was just life and timing, and him getting together with Stephen Murphy. And they went different direction, and just it never happened, basically.
Yeah.
But that there was potentially going to be a Ninjara comic. This was basically a backdoor pilot to a comic, right? So the idea is you publish a story in these anthology on Radio Comics, and then maybe Radio Comics would put out a Ninjara main run comic. But we never even got to that point, or any other point, because it fell apart.
Yeah.
This is one of the saddest coulda beens for TMNT.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's been a lot of what coulda beens, but this is one of the worst because the taste we got was so cool.
Yeah.
And it was in black and white. It would have been so easy to produce because like you don't even remember the colorist.
Exactly. And John Clemens in the chat's asking who owned the rights to Ninjara. I believe Murphy and Allen do.
And Allen, absolutely.
Yeah, or Clarrain.
That is something I definitely did research. So part of the reason this could happen was that the sweet deal that they had with Kevin and Peter for Adventures was, once again, these are the guys that brought you the Creators Bill of Rights. If you created a character while you were working for Kevin and Peter, that was your character.
Right.
You just used it on their comics. So Stephen Murphy in particular and Chris Allen to a degree own the Adventures characters, Ninjara, all that stuff is their own to use.
Right.
So they were able to use it and branch out from it.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why we would read this, especially if it doesn't really have a solid ending and if the turtles aren't in it at all, a lot of it is because I wanted to read this just in case we see Ninjara in the future, because we're getting to a part where in the journey where I remember it a lot more because I experienced it as an adult throughout the 2000s, and but I still don't remember a lot of it, and I would just like to have covered it because it's like this. That way we can have something be like, oh yeah, to make it easier to remember if we see Ichiro again or Tetsu Kono or Mocha or any of these characters, like that might be something that we could it's just that reward for going through anything. And that way, especially like if IDW brings her back, which they might have already, but I don't know. But when they do, or when we get to it, I should say, we're gonna, if they reference any of this, or even if they don't, we're gonna know something more. And that's why I thought it was pertinent to the journey, and it's a fun little thing in a book that very few people probably know about. So that's what the Deep Dive and Daddies are all about. So
also, it's not much of an outlay of time to see what could be the last Ninjara appearance.
Right.
So I think it's really cool.
I do too. I remember really enjoying her in the books. I do remember being a little frustrated a few times, but that's with almost every character. But like for the most part, I really liked her, and I thought that she brought a lot or added some sort of different take to the Turtles. And I know a lot of people don't like her, but then a lot of people also just don't like women in general, like in their superhero comics and stuff. And I don't know how much of that is bleeding over, but to that, I'm just like, I don't care. I just
stuff it.
Exactly. I think that she was a really neat character, and I enjoyed all the stuff in her relationship with Raph and all of that. It was just I don't know. I hate that there wasn't more of this. When I found out about it, I was hoping that there was like, oh, it's like 6 issues and it has a beginning and end and it gives you something. But for what it is, Chris Allen's artwork, I'll read that any day. Like that's
absolutely.
Look at it, whatever. It's fantastic. He's one of my favorites, and then Clarine is always great with his writing and everything. So
super good.
So there's that out of the bag of tricks. So we are in a very interesting stage of Turtle Soup where we are getting closer and closer to the millennium. We've about got everything. Now we do have a pretty sizable bag of tricks for stuff to pick from, but and this is kind of me just riffing here, Ryan. We haven't really talked about this too much yet, but as of this week, I kind of checked back into everything because I checked out during the hurricane. I was just, it was too much stuff going on. Me too. So we've got a new sort of spreadsheet going with all the stuff that we're going to be looking at covering. I'll tell you a couple of things that are in the percolator. Not sure when they're coming up, but we're definitely going to do the MGM live stage show that they put on. That I have firsthand footage from when my family went, and
that's going to be a very special episode of Turtle Soup right there.
It is, and I think we went and saw it 3 times, and I've got footage from all of it, and then my dad's probably gonna do something. I'm gonna try to get him on the show. If not, I might have to pre-record it. But regardless, we're gonna try to get my dad to talk about it because he was definitely there with me, and so that's in the pipeline. We found out about the Hero Turtles, that they have their own adventure stuff, and we're not sure when we're going to do that. If we'll save that, maybe step into 2000, and then like some of the stuff like volume 4, maybe get into some of this stuff, and then maybe like before we jump into something else, we might go back. We don't know really at this point. And if you want to tell us what you want us to do, you can definitely do that. And we would love to hear from y'all and your thoughts as to what we should do, because there's still, just like I said, a handful of things. But you can let us know, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com. And that's the home of the internet. That's the email to the home of the internet, turtlesoupshow.com. And let us know if there's anything that we haven't covered yet that you're like, oh yeah, no, y'all forgot this or whatever, or this is how it'd be cool if y'all did it this way or whatever. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
And then
let us know.
let us know your thoughts on Ninjara here in the comments on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do that. You can follow us on all the other socials as well, and that means a lot to us. And then if you want to help continue to keep the power on despite hurricanes coming through,
Right.
then you can do that by going over to patreon.com and find Turtle Soup's done been making a podcast for about 12 years. And that really helps us, and we consider you family. And I don't know, every time it's been a month or so before we do these shows, I always forget how to end this thing. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels, but
I think you just end it like, thanks so much for listening, and else time.